there we go. Whew, that was tedious. Tedious. Ooh, it's a nice looking day out. They sees me rolling. They hating. They're out there riding Hondas. They're not riding Harleys. They're not there riding Harleys. They're not there riding Harleys. They're not riding Harleys. Hey, welcome back. I'm so glad you could join me. I have to tell you, I am pumped, absolutely pumped. It's been a really good year so far this year, and you know, optimism is everything. Optimism will keep you going. But you know, I started out the new year doing that ride, and it was fantastic. The video from it turned out really well. I was really pleased with it. The book came out, my photo book. It's just been an awesome year. I was having a conversation with somebody about shooting for another magazine. This is an online magazine currently. And I'm not going to get paid for it, but you know, the first couple are free, you know what I'm saying? It's brand building. And I never really understood brand building until recently. And you know, my personal brand, I thought, you know, people have a personal brand, get over yourself. But you know, if you're trying to build something, whether it's creative or a business or something like that, you have a brand. And there's aspects to building it up, getting recognition. And you know, it's as simple as this, and it may be different for other people. I'm no expert, but I think it's as simple as this. I am brand building in the sense that I'm trying to earn a name for myself as being one of the go-to motorcycle photographers, and one of the go-to photographers, period. You know, I have yet to get paid for any of the work that I've put into motorcycle magazines, and the truth is, if I don't do it, there's 1,000 other people waiting to step into that place to provide content for those magazines. But my goal and what I'm working on is to become the best. You know, my goal is for the magazines to think it's an honor to have me in the magazine and that it's worth paying for. And it's funny for me thinking of, you know, oh, it's an honor to have me working, because I was talking to the person I was talking to the other day was saying, you know, you shouldn't be so humble. Your photographs are epic. They were called epic. And that makes me really happy. It feeds my ego. But, you know, I don't really need my ego fed as much as, well, I need my wallet fed right now. But, you know, I just want to do good work. And I try to be humble. Sometimes I'm full of myself, but I try to be humble. And the reason is that there's always somebody who's better. When I started getting into motorcycle photography, you know, I thought, oh, this is a field that there's not a lot of people doing. So this should be pretty easy, right? Yeah, the truth of the matter is there's a ton of super talented people doing this kind of work, and it is work. You know, there's the shooting, there's the processing, there's the marketing yourself. For me, that's probably the worst, because I dislike that the most. I hate that I have to be a marketer for myself, but that's the name of the game. That's what you have to do. Most creatives just want to get out there and do the work and then let it ride on its own. It was the same thing with music people. I just play music, you know, I'm not trying to pimp myself out to music companies, and you know, I don't want to have to deal with the lawyers and all that stuff, but that's part of the game. That's the ugly underbelly. But I'm convinced that the only way you're going to succeed in something that's going to be lasting and sustainable is to actually have the skills to do it. You know, there's so many people, and photography is a really good area to point this out in, because there's so many people that go out and they get themselves a nice camera and say, I'm a photographer. They hang their sign out that says photographer. But there's so much to it. You know, as a photographer, my big goal, everything is advertising. And it's advertising for the person I'm shooting. I want to make them look as good as possible. It's advertising when I go to an event. I want to make it look as fun and exciting as I can. I mean, I'm not lying about it. I'm just trying to point out the good parts. If I'm shooting a product, I want to make that product look as awesome as it is. And you know, I've gotten this feedback already on a lot of my motorcycle shoots. I'll shoot a motorcycle and people are like, that's an awesome bike. That's amazing. Yeah, it is. And if I brought that out in my photograph, then I've succeeded. So I would love to shoot portraits, models, and that kind of stuff. I don't have the skill set, the technical skill set, to really do those photos well. Now, I've talked about weddings recently. There's a lot of wedding photographers who have no skill set for weddings. Now, in all of this stuff, playing music, taking photographs, or I imagine anything you do, certainly being a heart surgeon, it takes a skill set, and you don't get that skill set just by talking about, I'm a photographer, or I'm a neurosurgeon. It takes a lot of study. I find it really hard to believe that anybody is just born a neurosurgeon. There's work and there's study. I've been watching a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk, who's an entrepreneur, business media content creator, builder type. He's a mover and a shaker. And he said something once about milking cows. And to be able to really get good at something, to say, I am a fill in the blank, you got to milk a lot of cows. It takes a lot of just non-glorious work. Gritty, nasty, gnarly. Think of it as being a biker. You can call yourself a biker all you want, but what really makes you a biker is riding, putting in the work. And, it's work that we love, but it's still the details, the time, putting in the time. And whether it's being a photographer or being a musician or being a biker or being a businessman or anything else, in a world where we can mass communicate very easily and very quickly, it's very easy to front and take on that persona of, oh, I'm this, that, or the other thing. I'm an actress. What have you been in? Well, nothing yet, but I'm going to be an actress. Well, what's your plan to get there? One of the things that we've kind of given up is apprenticeship, because we want it now. We know better than the next person. Now, I don't ever plan on hanging out a plaque that says I'm a wedding photographer. I'm still not really interested in doing it, but I'm very interested in knowing how, in case I ever need to, or in case I'm ever called upon. And I really think that skill set will make my motorcycle shooting better. I think it will improve everything I take, because it's all a study of light, composition, and all the basics are still there. But because I've decided I want to take wedding photos and I own a camera, I'm not a wedding photographer. I'm not even at the doorstep yet. So my best plan for that, I think, is to follow around after some wedding photographers and learn what they're doing and just watch them and soak it all in. I may drive them crazy with my questions, because I suspect I'm going to have a ton of them. But before I even start putting it into practice, I've got a lot to learn. So I think assisting is going to be a really good avenue for that, probably the best avenue. And the same is true of portraits. Now, portraits get a little bit closer to motorcycle photography because, all these pictures of babes on bikes, and most of them tend to be portraits of the woman, and the bike is just a prop. Now, for us who are hardcore bikers, the bike is the thing. I don't know how many pictures I've seen and thought, man, she's in the way of the motorcycle. But that's just us, we're a bunch of freaks. So, portraiture is the same thing. I would love to be able to take portraits of people, but I can tell you right now, I'm not good at it. My lighting is really flat. I'm not good at it because I don't know anything about it. Why? Because I haven't learned anything about it. So my plan is to do the same thing. I'm going to find some people who are really good at portraits, and I know a few, and just shadow them. Just go along. Just pick their brains. It's an apprenticeship. And, if I get paid for it, that's great. If I don't get paid for it, I'm going to get my money out of it just in the education. My money will come from it at least later. And all of that is going to make all of my photography better. But it's going to take work. I posted, there's a local photography group, and I posted that to the group that I wanted to assist and just hang out, be present. And one of the guys posted up, and he's like, hey, who wants to go shooting this weekend? And I thought, I'd really kind of like to rather go riding. I've got some stuff to do for the channel. I've got, et cetera, et cetera. I've got anything else to do but that. And I thought, you got to pick what's important. And if I'm going to say I want to be a photographer, and then I'm going to go churn down the opportunity to learn and to train in that field, then I need to really stop fooling myself, because you're just fooling yourself. I'm just fronting. Oh yeah, I'm a photographer. Yeah, I want to be. There's a lot of I wanna out there, and a good number of people won't put in the work to get there. But it's true of photography. It's true of any endeavor that you're trying to build. Now, I know a lot of you are older, you're retired, and you think, well, this doesn't even apply to me in any way because I've got nothing in front of me. Most people, on average, were living longer. I just turned 56. And up until about 3 months ago, I thought, I just want to put in another 8 years, pay off my house, take that money, and go move to the woods, and have enough money to pay for gas for the bike. That's really all I care about. That's the plan. And hopefully Social Security will be enough to pay me enough for gasoline, and taxes. That was my plan, and it's not a bad one. But in the last 3 months, as I've started thinking about it, I thought, well, I could be 60, 70 years old and still taking photographs. And if I could still be making money off of those, or, if I could start making money off of those, that's supplemental income after I've retired. So you're not too old. And I don't want to get to be 80 and think, well, I'm not doing anything. I've got nothing going on and I'm fairly broke because I gave up at 55 because I thought that was the end. When I was a kid, a teenager, I knew the year 2000 was coming. I thought, I'll never live that long. I'll be old. And, what's the point in living when you're that old? And, hindsight now has taught me I was a nut. Well, I'm still a nut, but I've revised my outlook. Not only was I around for 2000, but I've lived long enough to almost forget it. So photography is starting to look as a possibility of, I may still be able to make decent money even after I'm retired. And the beauty part is it's doing something I love to do. And when I talk about putting in the work, a lot of times it's long hours. And if you're not doing something that you love, it's going to get old. And you don't want to be there anyways. You want to be doing something that you really enjoy doing. If you love to paint, there's no reason you can't paint. If you're 60, 70 years old and you love building motorcycles, unless you're physically unable, there's no reason you can't be building motorcycles and building great ones. And if you are physically unable, there's no reason you can't teach other people to do it. And take somebody under your wing who also has that love and teach them how to do it and help them become fantastic at it. So it's work, but it's work that you love. If you're putting in 12, 15 hours a day doing something that you absolutely love, that sets you on fire, that makes you alive inside, where's the downside to that? That's the definition of a happy life. But we live in a society where it's very easy, and I'm absolutely susceptible to it too. It's very easy to get online and put on a persona when you don't have the foundation to back it up. Story for you. I started a network consulting company once, and it was basically me. And in everything that I posted, all the online website and everything else, all referred to as we, us. There was no we or us. It was corporate internet schizophrenia. And I've seen a lot of photographer websites like that who, it's a single photographer, and their website will refer to our, us, we. Actually, when you start looking for stuff like that, kind of makes you a little crazy. You're one person, and you're talking about us and our, because we want to front. We want to put out this perception that, we're bigger than we are. And that's true. Everybody wants to be the Kardashians. People want to be photographers, take great pictures, but they don't want to get up before the sunrise and go traipse someplace to set up their gear and wait for a picture. It's work, man. It's a lot of work. And I'm just, I'm not complaining. I'm happy to do it because I know that's what it takes. And I know that's going to make me better. Everybody wants to be a famous rock star or musician of some sort. But nobody wants to put in the long days and nights and not just the practice, but the times when you're absolutely broke and ramen is a good meal and you're traveling all over the place. How many people are taking amphetamines just to stay awake so they can do that next gig because they worked them like dogs. And we don't see that in the glory and the fame, but it's work. And almost everybody who makes it has those stories. They've paid their dues. You're not going to get anywhere without paying your dues because it builds a skill set. It's like companies that are given bailout money. Well, if they tank their company to begin with, why does giving them more money make any sense? They don't have the skills to manage it. It takes work. And it's like a natural law that applies everywhere. If something's going to thrive, it takes work. So you need to learn to love the work, love the process, love the wins, love the failures, Learn how to use the failures and move on, man. Get better with whatever you've got in your heart to do. But don't think it's going to come overnight. It may take years. You know, I plan on apprenticing for a year before I even take up a camera at a wedding, much less when I'm ready to fly on my own. So anyways, that's my rant. It's not really a rant, it's encouragement. Man, go out and do it. Find something you love and do it. You know, if you make doilies, rock that house. Find something you love and do it, and you're never too old. And it might take some work. You might have to learn some things. But if you really want to make great doilies, you know, you're going to have to put in the work. And speaking of work, I have to go. Thank you again for joining me. I appreciate you being here. I will see you next time. Bye.